lost fair and square. You know, the game plan was going just fine. I put in all my work, like I said I did. I was positive, I was sure as heck I was going to win the fight. We were doing just well, just fine, just perfect. I just didn't see the uppercut coming. Most parts I didn't see it went down, and he hits hard, you know, so I couldn't beat the count. I mean, I got up once, and the second one just knocked me again, and it was over.
There, nobody reacts to a knockout the way you do. Why are you so happy? Why are you the way you are after a knockout like this?
I mean, what can you do, you know? I've been very blessed, very fortunate to be on
Victor Ortiz.
I was out for a couple of years. Usually people just, you're out for boxing. People just...
You can, that's from the post-fight press conference. I'm sure you know how to search YouTube. You can find the post-fight press conference for Ortiz versus Berto too. But in my honest opinion, Victor Ortiz is done. What reason do you have to see him anymore? You punch him in the face, his heart goes. Now, go back and watch the 10 count by Jack Reiss. Jack Reiss did him a favor. Victor Ortiz should have been counted out. He should have been counted out. But Jack Reiss said, you know, you just made it. Do you want to continue? You can tell Victor Ortiz, he was trying to act like he was all dazed and out of it. You can tell. Go back and look at it in HD. You can tell he just was like, nah, I'm cool. He don't got no heart. It's no heart. Nothing is there. Like, boxing is just not for him. Boxing is just not for him. Now, I know it's going to be them bleeding hearts out there that's going to get mad at what I'm about to say. But, yo, when it comes to being in a boxing ring, dude is a bitch. It's no better way to describe. It's no better way to describe it. Remember when he got knocked out by Luis Collazo? Now, for those cat lovers, for you guys out there who got some pussy cats, you know how cats do this little thing where they turn around and they put their tail up in the air and they asshole all out and they just prancing around, meow, meow. That's like, remember how he got knocked out by Luis Collazo and he did that little turn thing? That's what I thought he was, man. I can understand the Jose Zito Lopez broke his jaw. Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya sitting ringside. He was supposed to get Canelo Alvarez after he had fought Floyd Mayweather and lost. He's just a head case. His bizarre-ass interviews. At the beginning of PBC on Fox, I forgot who the little sexy reporter chick was. She was interviewing Victor Ortiz, and he just started singing about being a hurricane. I forgot how the song goes, and I know a lot about music, but it's just, you can tell she just was freaked out, thinking in her head, like, what the fuck is he talking about? He was winning the fight against Andre Berto. His left hand was crisp. His left hand was crisp. He was looking sharp. He was looking sharp. But once he took that uppercut, it just he just was done. He just was done. Now, to make things worse, he talking about he's going to be back. Talking about who is he going to fight? If I'm anybody fighting Victor Ortiz, swing for the fences. All you got to do is just get one. He's going to fold. How can you market him? He's an expendable. He's expendable. It's just, you know, dude, it's just, they're saying that there's something mentally wrong with him. He's just a goddamn, just weird. He's just weird. He's just weird. I would think that, you know, one day I actually wanted to see him maybe possibly against a Brandon Rios. There's nothing out there in Victor Ortiz for me. I'm sorry. I'm thinking to myself, you got Danny Garcia doing a hell of a job at commentating during the fight. I'm thinking, okay, I see where they're going. they're going to set up the winner of Berto versus Ortiz 2 to fight Danny Garcia. Because Danny Garcia, the WBC champion, Andre Berto, was ordered by the WBC to fight Lamont Peterson to be the #1 contender, but he fought Berto. Now, knowing the WBC and the workings of Heyman, they would have found a way to maneuver this to be a to allow the winner to fight Danny Garcia. After all, Danny Garcia is allowed a voluntary because he just won the belt versus Robert Guerrero. But do you really want to see a Danny Garcia versus Andre Berto? I ain't gonna lie, kinda I do. I'm gonna answer your questions in a minute. But let me just get my little Victor Ortiz rant, out the way. Also, to make matters worse is as he's being escorted out of the arena, some fans started going NWO on him. So he's walking out the arena. You got fans that got their fan, walking down the aisle to get back to the locker room after he got knocked out by Andre Berto. You got fans that got their phones and recording him and everything. So you see this dude who got I don't know what the fuck he had. I thought it was like a pizza box full of coffee cups or some shit. Cause I'm looking and there's a nice clear video out there of it. Dude just sitting there just waiting for Victor Ortiz to come around. And then he just throws that shit over the railing and it's a little fiasco. And I'm thinking, if you got people going NWO, throwing shit all at you as you're walking out the aisle at your fights, and it's happened to other fighters before, but you can tell dude was mad. He just was waiting, just holding that shit. He was waiting. You can tell. I felt the whole aura once I saw the video. Anyway, it's on my Instagram. You can go down. Oh, it was chicken wings? They threw chicken wings? They threw a whole bunch of fucking bottles, a big-ass box full of chicken bones. They throwing chicken bones out there. If they do that shit at your fights, man, you shouldn't be fighting, man. You shouldn't be fighting. You shouldn't be fighting, man. You shouldn't be fighting. And not Andre Berto. Victor Ortiz was the favorite for me. Victor Ortiz was the favorite. It's a shame. It's a shame. I kind of figured that's what people are saying. They're saying that the dude that threw the box of chicken, it had to be I guess it was one of the, when you go to the concession stand and you order a bunch of shit and they give you the box to carry all that shit in. It just looked like, from what I'm guessing now, is it had the different little trays of chicken bones because people eating fucking chicken and shit while they watching the fight, and dude just collected them and folded them up into the box and just they out there fucking listen. If they doing that shit at your fight, do you see Victor Ortiz what? Yo, bro, because after he get knocked out all the time, he just start acting like he high, and then he go to the press conferences, the post-fight press conferences, smiling and shit. Go back to and look up the footage in the photos of how Victor Ortiz was acting after he got cheap shot and knocked out where he deserved after he lost to Mayweather. He taking pictures and shit and all kind of dude. Yeah, they just say he's just in it for the money, man. He's just in it for the money, man. He's got no heart. In his heart, instead of a heart, he has a vagina. His blood pumps through a fucking artery vagina. It's just, anyway, I'm sick and tired of talking about Victor Ortiz, man. I'm sick and tired of it. Because one thing you know about Victor Ortiz, one thing you know about him is he's going to do some fucked up shit is going to happen in his fights. All his big fights, some fucked up shit happens, man. Some fucked up shit happens in Victor Ortiz fights. It can never just be a non-controversial win. It can never just be non-controversial. He'll say some dumbass shit that'll piss you off even more. This loss won't define me, bro. It's yes, it do, bro. This loss won't define me. I'll be back. I'll come back stronger. Andre Berto, and then he start trying to hug you and shit. This guy just pisses me off. But overall, the PBC on Fox card was popping. It was good. It was good. You had Jorge Lara, no relations to Irislandy Lara, beat up Fernando Montiel, whooped him bad. You had which is a shame, which is a damn shame. You got a guy by the name of, and a lot of people haven't heard of him before, Thomas Top Dog Williams is going to be fighting Adonis Stevenson for the WBC Championship of the World. Have you heard of Thomas Top Dog Williams? No disrespect, but have you heard of Thomas Top Dog Williams? And in your opinion, should he be fighting Adonis Stevenson of all people for the WBC title of the world? That would mean that he's fought Saki Obika, Tommy Carpincy, and now Thomas Williams, man. But yeah, Evan Rodriguez got knocked out. You know, it was ugly. He was taking some mean shots, man. He was taking some mean shots. And then the crazy thing is, even in his last fight, in which he won, he was taking like these crazy shots. And it's just, you know, I don't know where he goes now. He's gonna have to start all the way over. But I had him, even if he would have won, I had him losing to Adonis Stevenson. Even though Adonis Stevenson is not fighting top level competition like he should, still he's still dangerous. He's still dangerous. Now, when it comes to let me address this really quickly. When it comes to the Kovalev Adonis Stevenson situation, you gotta know how both sides fucked it up, because Sergey Kovalev's side is not totally innocent. The WBC did something somewhat unprecedented by saying, okay, we're gonna make Sergey Kovalev fight in an elimination, even though he's a champion in three other sanctioning, you know, bodies: the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF. Now, when it came to the purse bid, everything was all in place for Kovalev and Stevenson to happen. All it came down to was either if Main Events promotions money, the promoter of Sergey Kovalev's money was long enough, or as long as Heyman PBC, you know, money. What happened? Kathy Duva, the promoter of Sergey Kovalev, they removed him from the purse bid. So everything would have happened, you know, if they would have said, okay, well, you know, even if we don't have enough money to outbid Heyman, at least the fight's still going to happen. But because Sergey Kovalev is signed with HBO, it was a conflict of interest, whatever the case may be. So yes, Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev is going to happen. It is contractually obligated. It is happening in the fall. So moving on from that, James DeGale, you know, it should have been a draw in my not a draw. Excuse me. It should have been closer to a draw. You know, the 117, 111s. You know, just. That was a little too far off. Even though James DeGale was accurate, Roger Leo Medina was touching him up. He was laying some hands. He was laying some serious hands. And for him to keep up that punch output, for a guy whose nickname is called Porky, for him to keep that punch output up for 12 rounds and started turning it up to a higher notch in the 11th and 12th with those body shots. Yo, dude is sharp, man. Dude is. I mean, not sharp, but he's some issues. You saw several times during the fight where James DeGale would just start leaning on the ropes and relaxing. And if you watching him, you know he's a brown-skinned dude. He was red all over the place. He was getting punched everywhere. There was some situations, you know, or scenarios in the fight where Medina was reminding me of Medina a little bit, not with the wild, you know, angled punches, but as far as his tenacity, as far as he was putting in some work. So either way you slice it, the cards were messed up, but still, in my honest opinion, James DeGale won the fight, but he won the fight barely. He won the fight just, he won the fight barely. Now, so he said he wasn't impressed. He shouldn't be impressed. Guys like Porky Medina, who's been knocked out before in the past, who was knocked out by a guy who's going to be fighting, you know, which is confirmed now, Badu Jack. You know, it just shouldn't have. No, excuse me. Wait, did he fight? I forgot. I don't want to confuse myself. But I just look at it like this. James DeGale is good. It's just that he has some things to work on. Even when you look at the Andre Dirrell fight, in a fight that he got the early knockdown and was controlling during the early, during pretty much the first half of the fight. Look what happened, during the second half. So when you look at the Lucian Bute fight, Lucian Bute looked, you got to be honest, Lucian Bute did not look good. He started to turn it up in the later rounds tonight, but he did not look good. So you got to think, even though James DeGale has a good, solid resume with the loss to George Groves, who I feel he can beat today, with the win over Paul Smith, with the win over Marco Antonio Parabon, with the win over Brandon Gonzalez, with the win over Andre Durrell, with the win over Lucian Bute, and now with the win over Medina, he has a really, 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 hold on. He has a really, 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 my bad. He has a really, really, really good resume. And with Bottle Jack next, you can't, you can't be mad at him. So what I'm thinking is sometime in the future, he may be moving up, as he said, to 175 pounds, because after the Bottle Jack fight, now that we know that James DeGale and Bottle Jack will be fighting in the unification for the WBC and IBF titles at 168 pounds, now we know that the winner has to fight Callum Smith or Callum Smith. Callum Smith is from the UK. He's Matchroom Promotions, Eddie Hearn's #1 168-pound fighter. James DeGale is not with Eddie Hearn anymore. Look up, just Google it. I'm not going to get into the whole story. Well, actually, I have time. James DeGale pretty much said that he's not going to lick the ass of Eddie Hearn and that he's not promoted by Eddie Hearn. He doesn't have a contract. And Eddie Hearn is really giving Callum Smith all these big ups because he knows that he lost out on James DeGale. But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. In my opinion, from what I've seen, now it's going to sound a little crazy, especially for fans who don't know who Callum Smith is, because he hasn't been televised in the United States yet. I feel that even though he, with a win over Christopher Verbras and a win over Rocky Feldy being his biggest wins, I feel from what I've seen that he can beat James DeGale and he can beat Bottle Jack and he can beat Lucian Bute. Now, what a lot of fans are saying, what I'm starting to see a lot of fans saying since the fight ended, is that Callum Smith, since he was in the audience, should fight Lucian Bute, would be a good test for him. But Lucian Bute, in my opinion, is probably going to fight maybe 1 or 2 more fights, and he's done. He's just, like at 36 years old, you're not old in boxing these days, but he's just done. As far as being a top guy at 168 pounds, and he's damn sure not going to be a top guy at 175 pounds. Andre Ward would just completely bully him and probably knock him out. Sergey Kovalev would definitely knock him out. And I don't think he could take that straight left from Adonis Stevenson, even though I see likely an Adonis Stevenson versus Lucian Bute fight happening in the future as Lucian Bute's possibly last big fight. Why? Is because they can sell a lot of tickets up there in Canada. He had a lot of fans down there in Washington, D.C. tonight, meaning Lucian Bute. And wherever he goes, he brings out a lot of Canadians or, Romanians. So that's the reason why I don't see him versus Callum Smith happening. Callum Smith, who should he fight? Truth be told, I would like to see him wait out to fight the winner of George Groves versus Martin Murray at the very, very end of this year, and then that would give him a nice solid fight, and the winner of that fight, if George Groves beat Martin Murray and things go to plan, that would be a George Groves or Martin Murray versus Callum Smith, and then they go on to fight the winner of DeGale versus Jack, which will be a huge unification fight. DeGale is still with Matchroom when he fights in the UK. Okay, I do believe that, yes, that does make sense, because what promoter over in the UK, if he's just an Al Heyman fighter, would he work with? So, yes, I do believe that James DeGale has like that situation where He's not signed to Matchroom, just like most Al Heyman fighters are. They're not signed to a promoter, but depending on the location of the fight, they'll work with that promoter. For example, when Danny Garcia fights on the East Coast, he fights. I'm talking about in America. When Danny Garcia fights on the East Coast, he fights with DeBella Entertainment. When Danny Garcia fights on the West Coast, he fights with TGB Boxing. When James DeGale fights over here in the United States, he's fought on a Mayweather Promotions card, and I forgot who was promoting the card for the Darrell fight. But when he goes over to the UK, he'll work with Eddie Hearn. But bro, this hangout is just a video live. What kind of? Oh, what's up, Miguel? I don't know. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be adding people to the Google Hangout this week, and next week we're gonna have a full, group of people here, so we can actually get into debates and all that. But I'm handling a lot of things behind the scenes. I've been keeping to myself, not talking to people, things like that. Just really working on things for the future so I can pretty much provide the best shows. But I'm here for your questions since we talked about all the fights of the night. The last video I did was on HBO 24/7, Canelo versus Khan. As you know, around this time next week, definitely this time next week, we're going to have either Canelo or Khan, the winner of that fight. And okay, let me answer some questions first. What do you think about Carl Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz? Yes, Carl Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz is official, July the 30th in the Barclays Center. I'm wondering why they're doing the fight in the Barclays Center and not maybe in Vegas or in LA, because in LA you'll have all those, that Mexican population. And I'm pretty sure they probably have a nice solid Irish population too, but not as much of a big Irish population as New York or the East Coast, especially who come down from Boston or the northern region. But it's a very dangerous fight for Carl Frampton. In my opinion, I got Leo Santa Cruz winning. As you know, for those who have been following me in the past, I'm a Carl Frampton fan, a huge Carl Frampton fan. I've never picked him to lose. I even said he would beat Rigondeaux depending on the styles. But call me crazy. But when it comes to Leo Santa Cruz throws too many punches. Leo Santa Cruz is very powerful, and Leo Santa Cruz is 5'8", closer to 5'9", if not 5'9", and Carl Frampton is just 5'5". So I think that those punches later on in the fight is going to really start laying in on Carl Frampton. I really think that he may get stopped in a later fight. I mean, in the later rounds. I really think he's going to get what happened to the UFC guy that reviews UFC? Oh, he's still around. Well, no, let's not talk about UFC. Let's not ask. Listen, you're gonna waste my time with those questions. I'm just not gonna read them. Who do you think Errol Spence should fight next? And do you think Mayweather could come back to fight Pacquiao in the rematch? Who should Errol Spence fight next? Honestly, it all depends on if they want to wait out for the Kell Brook, situation. Kell Brook is rumored to be in negotiations to fight Jesse Vargas. Oh no, wait a minute. Who should no. The IBF kind of did Kell Brook dirty. Not Kell Brook, Errol Spence dirty. He's got to fight another IBF eliminator against a top-ranked fighter whose name I forgot. Go look it up. So no, Errol Spence he doesn't have a free fight. If he wants to continue to chase the IBF belt, Constantine, I forgot his last name. Look it up. But Errol Spence has an IBF eliminator next that he has to fight. He's not going anywhere. Now, Kell Brook is in need of a big fight. Kell Brook has to fight a big fight next. It can't be no bullshit, because see, people are already saying that when it's time for Errol Spence to get a shot, that Kell Brook's going to move up to 154 pounds. But let's face the facts. 154 is not good territory for Kell Brook. You know, he's got two Charlo brothers, Demetrius Andrade, you know, and a lot of other good fighters at 154 pounds. So that's not a good division for him, in my opinion. Who you got, Crawford or Postol? I got Terrence Crawford. Postol, don't get me wrong, he's shown us a lot of skills and he's good. And I've watched about five Victor Postol fights all the way back to Hank Lundy. But Terrence Crawford has fought better competition, and in my opinion, just, you know, his chin. He's got a solid chin. Eddie Hearn paid the IBF to give Spence that fight. Hearn is a snake. Oh, yeah, his name, there it is. Konstantin Panomarev. Yeah, that's his name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's his name. That's his name. Yes, dude is pretty sharp. Dude is pretty sharp. There's not going to be too much of a political situation in this fight. I think the fight's going to, of course, end up being on PBC or on Showtime, whatever the case may be. But Top Rank is just going to do what they did with Vasil Lomachenko and just send him over there, because it's like, well, you know, Top Rank don't stop their fighters from getting title shots. Klitschko versus Fury. For some reason, this is another fight where I'm going against one of my favorite fighters. I'm thinking, Tyson Fury is really good. Tyson Fury has all the skills to beat Klitschko again, but he's just starting to do a little bit too much talking, in my opinion. He's just starting to talk a little too much. I'm getting tired of him talking about how he's, you know, one day he's saying, you know, he's the best in boxing of all time and all kind of shit like that. And then the next day he's talking about, which I don't like, about how he hates boxing and that, you know, he wants to retire and all kind of shit like that. What he did at the press conference was funny. Yes, you know, Klitschko should be embarrassed that he lost to a guy like Tyson Fury. But, I mean, I'm talking about like in the shape that he's in for him to be such a gym rat. But it's just, you know, just something, you know, just something seems a little off. Something seems a little off. So what can Vladimir Klitschko do differently? Vladimir Klitschko's got to be more active. He wasn't letting his hands go. You know, the fight was so ugly, he wasn't letting his hands go, that Tyson Fury was literally just winning the fight off of movement and a little more activity. Yeah, I watched Huey Fury's fight, man. That boring ass shit. Like, Fred, like, this was supposed to be, Huey Fury is the cousin, the 21-year-old cousin of Tyson Fury. He fought Fred Cassie. Fred Cassie had a controversial loss to Dominic Breazeale. Dominic Breazeale is going on to fight Anthony Joshua. He was knocked out in which should have been the knockout of the year. What was that, in 2014 or 2013? I believe it was 2014 against Amir Mansour. And he got robbed when he fought Chris Arreola. So this was Huey Fury's biggest opponent, his best opponent on paper by far. And he just didn't do nothing. The fight was stopped by a cut over Huey Fury's eye. And of course he won the fight, but it just was boring. It just was boring, man. It just was boring. Like, dude, he just has one gear. He doesn't do anything, you know, extra. He doesn't make me say, oh, you know, Pete, I mean, Huey Fury's gonna knock him out. It's something missing, man. It's something missing. Now, he's gonna have some issues because he's not exciting. It's gonna be hard to book him, and he's not bad. He does have skills to be very good, and he is kind of good. Fighters are not gonna want to fight him. Fighters are not going to want to fight him. Fighters are not going to want to fight him. But anyway, what do you want to talk about? Like I said, tonight was a good night of boxing. Good, solid night. I'll repeat it again for the people who are here now. Victor Ortiz is when it comes to being in the ring, he's a bitch. You know, he's disturbed. He's a weirdo. He just can't. I just don't. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words because he quit. He quit. He quit. He'll talk all this shit leading up to the fight, and you'll believe it. You'll believe, like, you know what, Victor Ortiz has a chance, and he quit. But one thing, you know, I would never want is to have like somebody like half eaten, or, you know, food or chicken bones being thrown at me, you know, as I'm leaving the arena. It was sad. It was really sad because I don't think he understands, but his career is over. If you're the promoter or if you're Al Heyman, what are you like? How are you thinking, okay, we're going to get him back in the ring? How are you thinking you can get him back in the ring? How? You know, how can you promote another Victor Ortiz comeback? Like, who's he going to fight? Who's he going to fight? You know, who can you say, oh, he has a chance with? You know, all you got to do is hit him with a nice, clean shot. And he just don't want to fight no more. He just don't want to fight no more. He just don't want to fight. Yeah, he just don't want to fight. But yeah, thank you, Al Heyman. Yes, thank you, Al Heyman, for a great card tonight. It was a great night of boxing. It ended kind of dull, you know, and fucked up with the bottle jack, Lucy and Bute situation. But, you know, Ortiz versus Guerrero. Guerrero would knock him out. Robert Guerrero would knock him out. Robert Guerrero would knock him out. What do Victor Ortiz do? Can he go, you know, make another Expendables movie? Stallone probably don't even want him. I like David Benavidez. David Benavidez is the younger brother of Jose Benavidez. At one point in time, he was 250 pounds plus. Now he's fighting at the light heavyweight division. And he's not as sharp as Jose Benavidez, but he does have some power behind him. Victor Ortiz is not a gatekeeper. Victor Ortiz is lower than a gatekeeper. Victor Ortiz is no type of keeper. He's not even a key holder. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is. Berto Guerrero too. Now, honestly, I think I would want to see Berto versus Guerrero too. Why? Is because in this day and age, we don't see rematches too often, and we don't see fighters go after the fighters that beat him. That would be a great storyline for him to say, I beat Victor Ortiz, now I'm going after Andre Berto. I want to get him, you know, because he beat me too. Because after losing to Mayweather, you know, we're like what other routes can Andre Berto really go and be successful? I think that you know, don't get me wrong, of course you can go to Keith Thurman, the Sean Porter, you know, the Errol Spence and all those routes. But I'm talking about the to create a story. If he fights Robert Guerrero again, that would be, you know, that would be nice. Look like a nice sized disappointed crowd though. Well, you know what they say. I mean, there's so many rumors about, you know, a lot of it confirmed too about, you know, PBC and what they do with the tickets and all kind of stuff like that. But it was good to see by the end of the night the arena was full pretty much. Even though it was weird to see like a daytime, primetime boxing card of that magnitude. Another thing I want to point out, they both made about $755,000 for this fight, which is considerably low for PBC standards. So, you know, that also kind of you know, plays into what people say about PBC losing money. Canelo or Triple G? I got Triple G. Who should Roman Gonzalez fight next? I think Anunye, I forgot to pronounce his name, not Estrada. I mean, I think he should go for the title because he's already talking about moving up in weight. So, you know, I don't think you should fight a rematch of a guy you already beat cleanly, even though it was an exciting fight of the year. I think he should go for the title. Why was Garcia at the weigh-in? I don't know why he was at the weigh-in. Obviously, when it comes, well, okay, not obviously, but when it comes to things like that, when they do stuff like that, they're usually there to scout their opponents. You know, likely Al Heyman set him up to say, okay, we'll go to the weigh-in. You know, you'll likely be fighting the winner of those guys. And, you know, yeah, Eddie Chambers really disappointed me. The Eddie Chambers fight really disappointed me. I said on Twitter that, well, throughout the week, you know, actually throughout since the fight was announced just about 3 or so weeks ago, if not a little longer, I was saying that I hope that the Eddie Chambers Jared Washington fight is televised in some way. Well, here we are. The night the fight happens, the stars align, and you have a bunch of early knockouts, and you get Eddie Chambers, who gets the chance of a lifetime to be the main event. You know, by deep, basically by knockouts. He got to be the main event, the final match on PBC against Jared Washington. And he did nothing but just walk forward in the turtle shell and shake his head and it was a shame. It was a shame. You know, and it's crazy because a year or so ago he was in the best shape of his career, but couldn't get, a big fight. Couldn't get a big fight. Well, let me read this. Where does Amir Khan do next if he beats Canelo? Now, that would be interesting because he would have so much bargaining power. It would be so many fights that he would be able to, well, for one, he would have to decide if he's going to keep that title or is he going to drop that title. He would have to also decide if he's going to go back down to 147 or stay at 154. I don't think he's going to stay at Canelo weight or fight above 160. Above 155, but it already, if he wins, he would be obligated, if he wants to keep the belt, to fight Golovkin. But nobody would be mad at him really if he drops the belt because he's too small. Because him fighting Canelo, people are already saying it's too big. So going up to fight GGG, basically another weight class above Canelo division, that would be tough for him. Khan versus Floyd for the 160-pound title. It can happen. Right now, I'm pretty much sure that Floyd Mayweather is trying to see how this Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez situation works out, especially with his little speech that he gave on Showtime tonight, basically pretty much confirming that, yeah, I'm thinking about coming back. I might come back, but they're getting the money right, as he went and sat next to Steven Espinoza, the head of Showtime Sports. So I think, I know, but I don't know how a lot of you fans think. I think we should pretty much understand now that Floyd Mayweather was going to come back eventually, especially when there's still all these guys he can beat out there. Maybe if it is just one fight, just to cement his name in that legacy. Why would you not? For just one more fight, just to get your name up there as being the only fighter to go 50-0 undefeated. Why not? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for it. I'm going to play his little interview he had with was it Steve Farhood or Jim Gray? I forgot. And let you guys decide. But if you don't know, I forgot to tell you, of course, a lot of you do know, I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter too. Yo, my Twitter, I'm active on Twitter now. The link is right down in the description box, just right down below. Follow me on Twitter. Like, my shit is relevant. Like, all the shit I talk about, like in all the news and everything, like I post it on Twitter. Like in short messages, so you can read it and understand what's going on without having to go through too much. But I'm looking for the Floyd Mayweather interview so we can hear what he has to say. Okay, here it is. Hold on. I was all a part of. But take this time to subscribe. And plus, I've been running my mouth constantly for the last 45 minutes or so. So, you know, let me catch my breath, go get some water.
Then, of course, we jumped across with your daughter right there at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and then an artist viewing the art at the Louvre. So it seems as though you're enjoying retirement, are you?
Yes, you know, I'm happy to be where I'm at. Everyone is asking me, is Floyd Mayweather coming back? Right now, I'm happy being on this side, but I've been talking with CBS and Showtime, and you just never know. But right now, I'm happy on this side.
Well, let's expand on that for a minute. You're getting fat. You're 161 pounds here. I don't think you've been that much ever probably in your life. You just said you're talking to Showtime and CBS. What would it take for you to get back into the ring?
Well, you know, as of right now, some crazy numbers have been thrown my way. You know, upwards of course, you know, 9 figures. You know, I'm truly blessed, way beyond belief. I'm taking my time. I don't really know what we're going to do, but right now I'm happy with being on this side, helping fighters.
You're opening the door right here. You know this is going to make news by opening this door. So let's talk about potential, since the door is now, or the window is cracked here a little bit. Who has taken over as the best pound-for-pound fighter?
Gotta clean that wall. That's the back of the chair, like the black from the chair.
Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, unbelievable, good puncher, good boxer, a very good fighter.
Now all these guys are calling you out. Let's start with Triple G. After the fight, he says Floyd Mayweather. And, of course, there's Danny Garcia, who's a possibility, who's undefeated. What would you want to do if you were to fight?
Well, I want to take, you know, well, Triple G, I think that it's best that he go up and fight Andre Ward. You know, I think that would be a good fight, you know, for Triple G, Andre Ward. I think that's a good matchup. You know, how can Floyd Mayweather fight at 160 and I can never even make, you know, 154?
Now watch people start running with that shit. Watch people start saying, well, yeah, well, they're already saying, you know. I feel like this. In my opinion, Floyd Mayweather should not have to fight a Gennady Golovkin, because Floyd Mayweather is right. I do feel, yes, Floyd Mayweather is right that he's not even 100, like he hasn't even made 154 pounds. Yes, Golovkin said he would come to 154. I understand how fans feel that, well, he wouldn't go to 168 for Andre Ward. But listen, Andre Ward is not a 168-pound fighter anymore. He fights at 175. He has said that he doesn't feel he can make 168 pounds anymore. When Floyd Mayweather says shit like that, he's trolling. He's trolling. It's what's called trolling. He's trolling. He's trolling because he knows, Floyd Mayweather knows all this hate that Golovkin has right now. Floyd knows. Floyd knows how the black coalition of boxing fans, he knows how they feel about the Golovkin versus Ward situation. He's trolling. And people feed into the shit. People feed into the shit. But listen, Floyd Mayweather is coming back. Now, he's saying he's talking about 9 figures. I mean, yeah, 9 figures. You know, I don't know who he can get in one fight or 2 fights outside of maybe Manny Pacquiao. Well, yes, of course, Manny Pacquiao or Canelo, where he can make that much money. Floyd fighting Danny Garcia. How many pay-per-view buys would Floyd versus Danny Garcia really, really do? Come on, you know? How many pay-per-view buys, even though it would be very successful, even though he wouldn't be deserving, what pay-per-view buys would Mayweather versus Broner do? How many pay-per-view buys, if he beats Canelo, would Mayweather versus Khan do? Or Mayweather versus Canelo if he beats Canelo for the 168 Canelo weight title? You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of math and logistics that have to be done for a guy like Floyd Mayweather to really fight again and make the type of money that he's asking for. Now, I would love to see Floyd Mayweather versus Golovkin, but I don't want to see it at 154-pound Golovkin. I don't want to see it. But then again, don't get me wrong, I will watch it. But do I want to see it? No. Nope. Maybe Kell Brook in England. In England, that's the thing. That's the thing. It would make big money over there in England. In like Mayweather versus Kell Brook, whether you like it or not, American fans. Mayweather versus Kell Brook over in the UK in Wembley would make so much money just off of the fact that Mayweather's fighting in the UK. But he won't go to the UK, so what's the point of talking about it? He won't go to the UK, so what's the point of talking about it? T-Street, if you had a choice to work for HBO or Showtime, I would work for HBO. You know why? Because I would be able to advise HBO, in my opinion, on the shit that they're doing wrong and the fighters that they should invest in and what they should invest in with boxing to avoid, you know, in my opinion, it would be HBO. It would be HBO because Showtime is a little more in touch with what's going on, especially with their growing coverage of international boxing. No, HBO is a little too. Does this decision hurt Battle Jack's stock? No, because we know he won. You know, in the court of public opinion, in the fans' eyes, Battle Jack won. So no, it doesn't hurt his stock. Lara versus GGG. Now, I would want to see that fight, especially since Lara has been talking about moving to 160, and he can comfortably fight at 160, and he has fought over 154 pounds multiple times. I would love to see that fight, but politics and also Lara doesn't bring in no money. You know, Lara just doesn't bring in no money. Do you think Al Heyman is going to put Mikey Garcia in hard since they low on money? No. And you didn't expect if Mikey Garcia, it's not known yet, but if Mikey Garcia does sign with Al Heyman, you got to expect that Mikey Garcia's first one, maybe definitely two fights are going to be low-tier fights that people are going to complain of. But at the same time, Mikey Garcia needs those type of fights because, for one, he's got to find which weight class he's going to be comfortable in, whether it's 130, whether it's 135, 140, or 147. And also, he's been off so long. So you got to expect that his first two fights are going to be you know, I'm not going to say bullshit fights, but to a lot of fans, they're going to say they're bullshit fights. Venice is getting 1.5 to fight Lara. That's what Venice said. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what he said. That's what he said. Now, with with how low PBC purchase has been, I don't know. But also, this is a fight that Showtime is paying for because it's on Showtime. When it comes to PBC fights like Fox and ESPN and ABC and CBS, those are the fights that come out of PBC pockets that they pay for, that they lose money on, compared to if the fights come on Showtime or CBS. Showtime is paying for those fights, paying for the purses of those fights, which is one of the reasons, which is a whole nother deep video on why we have Thurman versus Porter on PBC, Showtime, CBS Championship Boxing. You know, but that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. Lara versus GGG would be a good fight. Lara is a little overrated because he never does just enough to completely shut out his opponents. Golovkin versus Canelo will sell out. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. But I'm going to be on here about another 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30, 40, depending on how I feel. Honestly, I got to walk my dog, and plus I want to play some 2K. Who should Andre Berto fight now? As I said earlier in the video, I'm thinking that possibly he should fight Robert Guerrero, or he should fight and start working his way for that WBC title that Danny Garcia has. Whether it's fighting who he was ordered to fight in Lamont Peterson, fighting a Sammy Vasquez, who's also in that tournament, or just, you know, flat out fighting Danny Garcia. Play Witcher 3. Nah, I really can't. Nah. Who do you believe Kell Brook will fight? I think I already talked about that, but since you're new, I'm going to say there's talks of him fighting Jesse Vargas. in the unification for the WBO title in the UK, Kell Brook. But as I said, I've said it in earlier videos. Well, not earlier videos, but videos I've done over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to be back to doing videos full time again at the end of May, which is this month, or you know, June. I'm handling a lot of things to secure the future of what I'm going to be doing. I'm launching a website. I'm going to release all that information in due time. But just hang in there. I'm not doing videos every day like I used to. I know all the boxing news that's coming on. I mean, that's coming out. I'm not out of the loop. I'm just not doing videos, you know. And I've noticed that a lot of you guys have been getting like brainwashed and all kind of stuff like that, and you know, by other boxing channels, and y'all just don't know what's going on. I'm not becoming a boxing promoter. I'm more leaning towards becoming a manager, and right now I'm not going to be doing none of that until I master or come close to mastering the media aspect of boxing. You know, it's levels to this shit. It's levels to this shit. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I got a pit bull. He got hit by a car. He's cool though, but you know, he's kind of dumb. I've already talked about the DeGale Jack situation. You got to go back to. I already talked about 4 times already. When it comes to Ramirez, Ramirez is a top-ranked fighter. So just avoid the headache and don't even think about Berto Ramirez versus James DeGale or Berto Ramirez versus Bute Jack anytime soon. You'll have a better chance of seeing him versus Colin Smith or George Groves. Just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Which is the weakest division in boxing? That's a what questions like that? Questions like that, because see, you can say so many different things. You can say, well, the 100 in 8-pound division. You can say shit like that because why? Because their fight's not televised enough. What do you think about Walters and Lomachenko? It's not happening. Nicholas Walters priced himself out. He wanted Heyman money that's not around anymore. He priced himself out. Any word on Rigo lately? Nope. No word on what Guillermo Rigondeaux was doing. He should be fighting his next fight for the WBA title because he's supposed to be the WBA Super World Champion in recess. And now that Carl Frampton is done with 122 and stripped of his WBA World title that he won from Scott Quigg and vacated his IBF, Rigondeaux should have no problems fighting for a title at 122 pounds and getting big fights the mandatory way. When do you think Fury or Joshua will happen? It can happen at the end of this year. You know, from what I'm hearing, it could really happen at the end of this year. If not, it has to happen by next summer. But, of course, he's got to beat Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, Ortiz ain't shit. Ortiz is done. Victor Ortiz is done, in my opinion. He's done. He's done. Victor Ortiz is done. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Victor Ortiz is done. I can't deal. I don't want to ever see Victor Ortiz box again. I don't want to see the Expendables no more. I don't want to watch Dancing with the Stars. Anything that he's ever associated with, I want nothing to associate with ever again. Is it true that Spence beat up Mayweather in sparring? Well, I wouldn't say beat up, but yes, it is true that Errol Spence laid some hands on Mayweather in sparring. It's been confirmed. Vampire facial. Ortiz, Berto 3, never. No, Jesus, no. No, no. Hay versus Joshua or Wilder versus Joshua? Wilder versus Joshua. Depending on where you're from, you're going to say Hay versus Joshua is a big fight. Rios Ortiz could happen. No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, it could. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, I don't know where Victor Ortiz goes from here. What do you think about the decision of Gerald Washington versus Eddie Chambers? Eddie Chambers didn't do shit. I'm not gonna talk about Eddie Chambers no more. It's early in the video, but sorry, not to be rude. Not to be rude. You think 51-year-old B-Hop is better than any fighter on Triple G resume? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You know, no offense. No offense. Don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this the wrong way. But if you have a Middle Eastern sounding name and you just ask me like ridiculous questions like about Amir Khan, you know, I'm gonna ignore you. No offense, you know. Reels is not with Top Rank anymore. But I think he's still a Cameron Duncan. So that's like the same thing. That's like the same thing. But yeah, B-Hop is better than anybody on Golovkin's resume. But see, when it comes to Golovkin's resume, I understand there's not nothing on it. You know, not nothing of note. But who can you really, really blame for that? Who can you really blame for that, though? Honestly. Especially with the promotional divide. And he's a champion in 2 sanctioning bodies. And the mandatory in another one. When it comes to the WBO and Billy Joe Saunders has no obligation to fight it. Still love Ortiz. Thought he would win. Nah, man. Ortiz is done. Ortiz is done. Don't give up. Give up on him. Give up on him. Give up on him. What do you think about Vargas testing positive? Well, Orlando Salido might not make weight, or he might test positive for some shit too. To keep it funky. Also, if you're down there training in Mexico, it's known that they got fucked up meat down there. It's known that they use that I forgot how to pronounce it, but that banned substance down there, you know, in their meat. Order Omaha steaks. You cool. Go online, order your Omaha steaks, and have that shit delivered to you. You cool. You cool. But see, now you're just trolling. What do you think about Floyd versus Rousey? Now you're just trolling. Go to them other channels. I don't do videos where I'm talking about such and such looks really ripped in camp. On kind of shit. I don't do those like those tabloidish videos anymore. I don't do those. Yeah, they got them Omaha steaks. You know how you order like the meat offline, the steaks and the fucking you know, little side dishes, and it comes like the styrofoam, you know, chilled container. Like I said, when you come here, my job is to keep you updated with the boxing politics and the news going on, so that you don't sound like a dickhead in boxing conversations about like why fights can't happen or they can happen. You know, that's what I do. You know, I tell you what's going on. I tell you like the exclusive shit. I tell you about who's going to fight who can possibly fight who's in line to fight who, and who may fight who later on. You know, if that all makes sense. If that all makes sense. But next week is going to be a crazy week. You know, I can't believe that Canelo versus Khan is next week. That's going to be crazy. I'm also interested to see what Amir Khan's going to look like in the ring, because, as I said, he's been looking kind of, you know, like soft, man, and kind of slow. You know, maybe it's just what he wants us to think is that he's slow. You know what I mean? You know, but he hasn't been looking good, man. He hasn't been looking good. He hasn't been looking good. But listen, before I end up here for like 2-3 hours, I'm not going to do it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to say this. This week coming up, I am going to produce a lot of videos. I'm not going to have a gap from now until next week. I'm going to make sure I try to wrap up as much news or do videos on as much news as possible. And then next week, the Google Hangout is during the fight. We're going to be doing a live discussion during the fight right here on the channel. And what it's going to be is starting about 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way through until after Canelo versus Khan. It's going to be all Google Hangout. We're going to sit here. I'm going to probably have a beer or two. And we're just going to talk boxing. So I'll post a link to that soon. Well, not soon, but sometime in the next, few days or so. Also, go follow me on Twitter. The link to my social media is right down below in the description box. Follow me on Twitter. If you got any questions or you want to know where I'm getting my information from, I'm very active on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'm watching Game of Thrones, but I'm not doing a review. This is T Street Controversy. Once again, remember next week, this is T Street Controversy Live. Please subscribe.